All right, welcome back to the Plug-in Podcast, where I'm your host, Quentin. And when I tell you that I got a great show for you guys today, it is going to be on fire. So, what we have today, since we know it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this month is closing out, but I've been talking about mental health for men. We talked about some trauma that men have to go through. But now we're going to talk more about the things that children go through and the abuse that they go through, the violence that they go through. And then I was able to connect with a great team that actually specializes in the healing process and prevention for our youth. I'm not going to talk too much about them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and kind of tell us what they do. But this is I'm about to call you Miss Tanisha. This is Miss Tiffany and her husband, AJ. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. Quentin, how are you?
I am doing very good. What about you, Mr. AJ?
I'm well.
That's good.
Looking forward to what's about to take place.
Oh, man, me too. And once again, I thank you guys for joining me on my platform. I know that you guys have probably been on tons of platforms talking, because this is such a great ministry that's in works here. And so, like I said before, I want you guys just to kind of share, what God has given you as far as helping our youth to be able to get through some of the traumas that they deal with in this crazy, crazy world. But before you even get there, because a backdrop story on me and Miss Tiffany here is her and her brother, we all went to school together. And it's funny because back in the day, we always reference her as Marvin's little sister. Marvin's little sister. She would always be around, be like, "Man, tell your sister to get out of here, man. Move it. What is she here for?" I said, so full circle, she's now married and doing big things for God. And so I'm happy to be able to have been able to stay in contact with you through the social media world and to have you guys on. So if you would do me one favor, first thing I like to do, I told you guys I love marriage, I love relationships. So first, give us a little background on how you guys met, and then take us right into how did you guys develop this great ministry here?
Yeah, honey, you want me to or you want to?
Well, you love telling this story. So, I'm just gonna let you lead. You paint a great picture, and you love what you're doing. So I'm gonna let you take the lead.
Okay. I like to phrase our story as when alto meets tenor, which when you talk about background, Quentin, it is no surprise that I am referencing choir, because we were all in choir coming up at our school. So the fact that I met AJ in choir, he was just my homie. He was funny. I didn't want a church boy. I'll be honest, based on how I grew up, and we'll get into those dynamics. But I was like, no, I'm straight. But Mr. AJ was hilarious and would get me in trouble with his comedy as well, while he sat there being the good tenor, and I'm getting in trouble when laughing at him. So we met. We were friends 3 years prior to dating, getting married. That was just my homie. It was just natural. It was organic. He actually, fun fact, next month he will be 10 years cancer free.
Oh,
and in 2013, that late fall, he was diagnosed with cancer, and I was like, my homie, and I'm living out here in Arizona. Instantly flew back. This is the quick story. It flew back like this, my homie, what you need, making sure he gets all of the love and care, coordinating stuff with church, that his spiritual soul is fed, the word, he's getting the worship, all the things. And we just continued to develop that. We ended up serving alongside of each other later on once he got done with his chemo treatments and got back to serving in church. And through serving, we get to see the business side of each other. And I was so focused on not like, God, if it's your will for me to be married, it'll be so, but whatever. But AJ, well, as a friend, them hugs and them colognes he would wear, be like, maybe.
She said the hugs.
The hugs. You hug a little too tight there. And
wasn't
like,
a 2-second friend hug.
Right. Like, is it so? I don't know. So it was definitely different. And with it being different, it was a huge component of God, if this is your will, it has to be totally different from anybody or anything that I've dated. And it was. It was. So from there, the scales fell off truly January 2015. When it fell off for him, and I'll allow him to add his points, it fell off early February 2015, and we were married March 2015. So, babe, I'll let you add if, I gave too much that was fast.
That was pretty quick.
A lot of people hear that dynamic and then and believe it or not, we've had people try to follow that, and it's a lot of grace and God in between that,
Right.
at what seems to be a small gap. So don't hear that just we got together quick and just go do what we did. But
How long have y'all been married?
We've been married, it's 9. It's almost 10 years now, right?
Yeah. Almost 10 years. Sweet.
Yep.
Yep. And the thing was, with her being a good friend of mine, when I first found out that she liked me like that, because we were cool and I enjoyed the friendship, you know what I'm saying? But when I found out she liked me like that, I was kind of against it initially. I was like, nah, because if it doesn't work, then the whole everything, I don't know too many people,
right,
that tried it, and if it goes forward, that's great. But if it doesn't, I don't know too many people who can just stay. So I just thought that was going to happen. But a friend of mine's had me look at the God aspect in it, and God had been working with me prior, and I did have a list. For those fellas out there, ladies out there, brothers have lists too. Okay,
right. They do.
So I actually, when that came about, I actually checked the list that I was talking to God about, and I was like, wow, she does, and then after that, it was full confidence, and I approached that thing. She ain't even know what that was. She was like, I didn't even know this level.
And I just gotta put the funny part about he like me like that. I was not confident in really sharing, but what it was a joke. He was like, you wouldn't want to go with me, or you want to go with me? And I'm like, well, I'm going to shoot my shot then. Let me go ahead. So that joke allowed it to, again, just the organicness of it.
Well, that is a really good story. I love friendships that develop into a marriage. And I think that, and this is not a marriage episode, guys, but I always think that people don't really understand that the friendship piece is the make or break for trust. That's how we trust each other in a marriage, is from friendship, from communication, from date nights, from hanging out, from playing spades, from bowling, from, what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people think, or you hear on the internet where it's just a bunch of stupid stuff, hey, take me out, spend $300 on a dinner. And that stuff is that's not real relationship. And that's why they're in a constant cycle of failure, basically.
Yeah. And one thing I appreciated through our brief time of dating, right? Like, we were already friends. So I'm asking hard questions. How did you grow up? What was your household like? What did you encounter in your first marriage? Like, how did you heal from that?
Yep.
What are we gonna do when an argument comes? You know what I'm saying? Like, we were talking like the heavy stuff. Like, I've dated your credit score be up here, your finances like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, those things are important as well. But as much healing as I walk through to be ready for this moment, we gonna talk about it. And to have his openness and his honesty into that journey, that's how we both discovered we both grew up in homes with domestic violence.
Yeah. And like I told you when I talked to you, that basically was part of my life as I was growing up. And it's just a real thing. I think that people discredit the fact that kids hear a lot, see a lot, and know a lot. They think that they don't because they're kids. And when I even think about mine, I can go back as far as like 4 years old, and I can visually see A, B, and C. And it was like, that's so kind of crazy that you can see it. And my mom would look at me and be like, what? Like, it's no way you remember that. Like, she's like, I lived it. I know I'll never forget it because I lived that experience. But I can't believe you remember that. You were in your bedroom. I locked you in the bedroom. I did this. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like there, like I can see it. But it's that trauma piece. And if it's something, domestic violence is basically, it's a cycle. So it's not like it's a one-time thing. And so the more it happens, the more it's ingrained into you. So you start to remember the horribleness. If I smack you in the face, AJ, that's something you'll never forget when you see me. Every time you see me, I don't care if we hug, forgave each other, love each other. You could be just eating dinner one day and we laughing and talking with the wives and everything. And then you can look at me and just think, this clown slapped me that one time.
20 years ago, this guy slapped me.
This guy slapped me, and he in my house eating my food, right? Because we're Christians, so we know that the enemy, that mind is his territory, right? So with that, so you guys come together, quick marriage, long time friendship. We got trauma, we got domestic violence, we got all this stuff in childhood. Take me right there. So how did you guys start to work through that to actually get to Dove?
Can I start this off a little bit, sweetie? Because I know this is your true realm in your world, but I just want to piggyback really quick on something that we were talking about. I believe that the long lost art of courtship needs to come back. We are not finding out enough about our partners. We're going by shallow things. And then we're in relationships and we get caught up in a lot of things that we wish we wouldn't have if we would have just took the time. And I mean that across the board. And whether you're in a relationship, of the heart, or a relationship, a partnership in business or marriage, you know what I'm saying? I just believe we have to start getting to know who the people that we're dealing with, and instead of having these false expectations. But the way we dealt with it, literally with all of that, like at first, I didn't even being around Tip, I didn't even know initially, I didn't put like this, I didn't recognize that I grew up as and was in situations as a result of domestic violence. My mom divorced my father when she was one. When I was one, sorry. And the way, me and my mother were super close, but then after a certain age, it just seemed like things changed. And I just saw, kind of racked it up like it's just my mom. That's who she is, and being around Tiffany, I started to open up things as she decided to dive into this world and things like that. And so that helped me a lot. But me and Tiff immediately decided that we were going to go to marriage counseling up front. Like nothing had happened. Most people wait till things happen. We went to marriage counselors so things wouldn't happen, hopefully. Or if they did happen, we would know what to do so we can keep level heads and keep things together.
That's
like 4 months into saying I do. And I did so much work. Like, as you say, glory to glory. I feel like there's healing to healing as a part of glory to glory. You continue to go from levels of healing. And I did so much work to get healed prior to, all the things I dealt with. But I was being triggered in new realms that I had no idea. Like, he telling me he doesn't want me to spend money at DSW. I'm looking at him like he's trying to control my money because I saw financial abuse as a part of the physical abuse my mom had. Like the way he's direct in answering certain things, I took that as that's a tone that feels like my father, but it wasn't a tone that was attacking. It was just, I'm giving you a direct answer. Like, this is, you know what I'm saying? So that was like, okay, I need to go back and get more tools. Hey, I got a counselor. Can we talk to him? And with his background knowledge of what I worked through, he was able to give AJ language and me language of like, this is what coming together, this oneness looks like. And within that, this is how you are going to, like, this is a trigger that's trying to come back. Like, this feels familiar. And this is how you recenter yourself and be safe. And also gave AJ tools in that as well of anchoring down on safeness to be sure, hey, she did work through this. She's going to come out of this, but here's some of the things that you should do to work on that. So we did a lot of that work, but in that, I wrote a book, Forgotten Living in the Shadows of Domestic Violence. It started as my final college paper in 2006.
Wow.
And part of I hate to call it this, but it was like a scare tactic. And I would give to guys I would date, here's my background. Now I don't want no parts. Okay, cool. Because I literally, when I say I'm an open book, I'm open book. So I gave it to him. This is the paper. What you think? AJ was like, yo, this is really good. Have you thought about like publishing this from the lens of healing and wholeness? Never thought about it. I gained 2 bonus daughters, adults, when we got married. And with some of the things we were seeing with some of the guys they were dating, he was like, this could really help them. So picked it up, worked on the manuscript and got it to a place of, all right, cool. But wait a minute. That's when adverse childhood experiences start coming up. I started seeing the science behind, it's not just me. Childhood domestic violence is really a thing. And 40 million adults actually grew up in these households. And there's less than 15% awareness of this right now, present day. And as of 2024, there's over 2 billion children around the world growing up in these houses right now. As we know, COVID exacerbated that. So seeing that revelation, and that was like 2018, early 2018, when I started working on this book, I'm like, it wasn't just me. Yeah. And the effects of that is equated to a soldier returning from war with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yep.
So that makes sense on why I almost got fired from my first job, because I'm seeing my bosses, who are men in authority, leadership. My father's a preacher, leader, and how he ruled our house with an iron. Now I'm looking at my boss like that because it's all connected. Wait a minute. If I don't heal, that's 20 years shaving off my life. I could potentially die earlier. Yep. Yes, with long life, he will satisfy me. But if I don't heal, to put my body to do the things it's naturally supposed to do without it going into this trauma reaction of fight, flight, freeze all the time, it's consistently buffering. This could be dramatic to me. Wait a minute. Let me dabble deeper. So then it became more of, it's not just about the book awareness, it's about action. So well, mom safely got away from my father and divorced right after I graduated high school, after being married for 30 years. And she had started a ministry, church ministry called Doves, Daily Overcoming Violence, Embracing Safety. And this was like a peer support group within the church. And she would do trainings. And she was frontline, working Detroit police, advocacy from state to state. I'm like, that's your thing. Go ahead. She like, you should go get the teens. No, that's your thing. You good. I was trying to chase the corporate ladder. I didn't see the vision. And now I'm like fast forward many moons, because she said that right around this time I wrote this paper in college. I was 2006. So now we're in 2018, 2019, because now I'm in the process of actively self-publishing it. And with my marketing background, is definitely like, no, this has to be action. So Dove's Network, like, we need to bring this back, Mom. I feel like the mantle is being passed to those words, that seed that you laid in 2006. Holy Spirit's watering it. And I'm supposed to bring this as a nonprofit to drive action. And there's a generation that doesn't have a voice right now, and that's the teens. Yes, we are trying to work with all children and adults, but that target where we're trying to get to, because they're in a fork in the road, teenagers. Between they're in their parents' house before they get out their parents' house. And whatever they have seen from here into these developmental stages until adulthood, it's a defining period. That is how Dove's Network was brought into existence in 2020, once my book launched, as by the way, because once you become aware, now you have the mandate to do something. And that do something is helping these children heal through intervention, prevention, and empowerment.
Yeah. Man, you said so much. I don't even know how to dial in to figure out No, listen, I wanted to hear it all, because I think that what the space that you guys are in is it's like probably one of the greatest spaces. When I started reading through the website, I was like, if me and my brother and sister would have had something like this, when we were coming up, right? Like my mom didn't really have anything to take us to or even have to, nothing to actually help us process. So my mom basically just prayed over us. It felt like 20 years. But I think it was, to be honest, I think it was probably like 2 years straight. Um, every night we would come home from school, take baths, all that stuff, and then we would get ready for bed, and then she would literally like almost drench us in oil, and then she would basically cast off everything that could possibly be attached to us.
Yeah.
And we just thought this is like the craziest thing. We like, we're thinking like we got the craziest mama in the world. It's like we're broke, we're struggling, and then all she want to do is keep talking about what God is going to do, what God is going to do, what God is going to do. And it's like, what is going on? But I think that like how you said, I'm gonna go back to when you kind of talked about yourself with those triggers. I had an episode like that. I was literally walking around Target, and this dude went ham on his girl. Like I'm talking ballistic.
Mm.
And I can feel myself get like shooken up by it, like not really afraid, but I can feel like it was like I've heard this tone before somewhere, right?
Mhm.
But then it like angered me to where then I'm coming after the guy, right?
Mhm.
I'm like, bro. And my wife is like, are you serious? Like, you don't go messing with people business. I was like, listen, this was my mom. Like, see, and for her, it was just like, well, we need you to get home. I was like, but this was my mom. No one came to really help her. Like, no one actually came to help her in that time when these things was going on. And so now all I can think of is that I need to do something, right? It's like, and my wife was like, bro, you got a wife and kid. You can't go saving another woman that you don't even know. And I'm like, and I'm not even thinking about another woman. I'm just thinking about
Right.
my mom. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
was a point in my life where I felt like I wasn't big enough for nothing to stop situations. And now, you know what I'm saying? I could throw 275 around. It's like, so now I know I could throw you around. And but I do know what you're saying. These triggers come up. And I think a lot of adults, I don't even think a lot of people even understand the trauma that is there. Like AJ said, is my mom divorced my mom at 1. It's like, how could I possibly be penetrated by something? But the life that you have to live as with a single mom is traumatic in its own. Like people don't really understand that, but it's literally a traumatic event. This woman was put on earth to be guided. Like women are put on the earth to be led, not to lead. And I'm not telling you can't, do your organization and stuff, but I'm talking about like person, wife, kids and stuff. That position was left for God said, hey, this part of your life, Miss Lady, you're not gonna have to worry about that. You can take silence, you can take protection, you can go to sleep, right? You can go to sleep because big man got you covered. And when a woman doesn't have that, and then you're just stuck there with the kids, abandonment. I mean, I can just go down the list. It's like all this stuff that's attaching itself to you that you have no idea, because that's how subtle the enemy is. And the enemy is like, I don't need it to come up right now, because I want to ruin at least 2 or 3 people when it come up. Like, I don't want to just ruin you. I need it to sit there until you get with 2 or 3 other people so that you can spark a plug in them. Their trauma come up, yours is up. Now their family isn't. You see what I'm saying? Like this chain reaction of what happens when one person doesn't take time out to heal from the trauma that you have. And the thing is this, you don't know if you have it until you sit down with somebody and talk about your life.
Yeah.
I mean, I mentor men, and I'm gonna tell you, guys want to talk about the trauma. They don't want to talk about it in front of everybody, but they do want to discuss it because they're still lost with the fact that why do I still get angry?
Yeah. And it all depends.
Go ahead.
No. To say it all depends on what type of, like, with a single growing up with a single parent being a mother, it all depends on what type of situation you came up in. Some of us is like you and I are similar in the situation, but I've also met by talking to males and mentorship groups and things like that, where the enemy can kind of like muddies up things or confuses things, because you have some mothers that instantly try to make you the man of the house. And then that's conflicting because you're the man of the house when it comes to this, and this. And then when it comes to anything that kind of goes over, you or stepping out of those bounds, then I get stuffed back down as a child. And so you see what I'm saying? It's like, it can muddy up the water. Like you said, I'm not here to just, mess with her. I'm gonna mess with everybody if I can.
If I can. Yeah. And I think that you said the right thing, right? Because that's my wife just looks at me and goes, you just got your life was just the roughest life. And I try to explain to her that there's people who got worse life than me. But when I just tell her the complete story, and I think it just, because she loves me so much, when you love someone to the core, you can feel their yesteryear's pain. Like that's how, when you love each other to the core, when somebody tell you something that happened 20 years ago, if you love them to the core, you're going to feel angry about it.
Yeah.
Because so it's just, to her, it's just like, wow, how can a kid grow up at 10 years old? I'm like, that's kind of what happened. And you're right. Now look at the trauma that comes from that. Like me and my mom had a conversation about that. It was like, I really never got a childhood.
Yeah.
And she's crying, right? Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're bringing this up. And I'm like, well, I'm not bringing it up to you to bash you.
You're right.
I'm bringing it up to you because I think that we should always have a healthy space of talking about everything. That's how I stay healed.
Yeah.
I talk to my mom. I talk to my dad about, I just bring it up. I'm like, oh son, I'm like, well, if I don't, I'm going to want to punch you. So it's best that we have conversations about it. Yeah. And the more open you are with me, lets me know that you actually feel sorry about what happened. When you try to bottle it up, then I think that you may not be that sorry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that, my mom had the same reaction as your mom. When she read my book, she's like, I can't believe you remembered all of this, because a lot of my trauma happened on the road when she would leave. She left my dad the same amount of times, they say about 7 to 8 different times, probably more, for safety. And she's like, I was just trying to survive. And it was like, I love you. I understand that, but this doesn't take away the experience that I had and how I felt. And this is the ripple effect of what happened in that household. Same thing for my father. My father completely stopped talking to me when this book came out, because a lot of people also don't heal or see their triggers because we're taught what happens here stays here. That's nobody's business. That, oh, you look what it made you, right? All of those things. And my father, with him being a preacher, looked at it as though I was casting stones and that I'm trying to expose it. I'm like, Daddy, I love you. And that's the other thing. I'm a daddy's girl.
Right.
And it was about, you got to acknowledge this happened. And because this happened, this was the fruit of that. You know what I'm saying? And I love you. And Holy Spirit guided me to write the book in such a way to show much love and much grace, because my story, I know everyone's story is different. My story with him was, though he did these things, 2 things were true. He was very there was a lot of opportunities here, but he was a great father here. Yep. And a part of that healing journey is reconciling that and acknowledging that, but that's still a part of us, but we're healing. That's where the generational curses break free, because it's not, because you are a part of me. He learned that from his father. So he says, I'm going to come through the generation. When you talk about the enemy is like, I'm coming through the generation. I'm trying to visit 2nd and 3rd generations and come harder. Right. Yep. So his father learned it from his father. So you keep perpetuating until someone says, nope, the blood of Jesus, we stopping this. Yep. And I had to keep loving him and showing him I love you, even with this book out. And thankfully, like for me, starting this ministry, starting this nonprofit, doing this book was a take up your cross moment. Like when you say do you care more about them, or are you going to do this?
Yes.
I'm doing this for you, but God, I asked you to allow us to reconcile this side of the earth beforehand, because that's my heart. And literally 11 months before my dad passed away from this earth, he reconciled and came to that understanding of, I didn't know better to do better, and apologized to my mother the night before he died. He had a heart attack. So
Yeah.
God will allow those hearts to be softened to
Yes.
have those discussions.
Yeah. And the thing too, I think that a lot of people don't understand is um eh, because like talking like when you're trying to have that conversation with whichever parent that because even this is the thing, there's one that does, you know, the trauma that comes from direct contact, like
Yeah.
this is just terrible.
Yeah.
But then like yeah, you said even like with your mother, it's like, man, you're the one that's the rescuer, but yet there's still trauma from even from this event, right? And
Mhm.
it's and I think that that's where that's how I kind of got into my space with men. You know, you kind of throw this out to God, like, yo, like I love witnessing. Like I like discipling is like my thing. Like that's my go-to right there, right? So God is like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm witnessing but I'm like rededication type with Christians. And I'm like, they're the hardest people to talk to. They don't see nothing and they want to throw scripture at you all day. And it's like, so one day I just got fed up. Like I'm like, I'm on my way to the gym and I'm like, God, you know what? I I take me off of the Christian to Christian helping. I don't want to help any more Christians. If they can't find you after they done found you, I don't want to be put in a position where somebody is, you know what I'm saying though, AJ, right? They
Yeah,
found you, but they
I
still looking for
understand.
you. It's
I
like,
understand.
and so, and literally, this is like I'm having this conversation while I'm driving. I know people probably thinking like, who is this dude talking to? Because I'm thinking, because the last talk I had with someone just blew me away, and I'm like, oh, so I'm in the car, like I do not want to talk to I don't want to help any more Christians try to find you when you have already been there. And so it seemed like it was like the guy like went silent on me. And because I'm like, yo, I said, I'd rather you just send me a bunch of sinners, hardcore murderers, sinners, rapists. You can send me all of them, and I talk to them before I go back here and try to talk to your people. And then like he went silent, and I started working out, hitting the gym. And then one day I'm hitting the gym. I'm in the mirror doing my curls, and this dude is like staring at me, and I'm thinking, what is going on here with this dude? And I'm thinking the other thing, right? I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, bro, like I don't roll like that. But I'm doing my curls. So this dude walks over to me and he goes, hey man, blah 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 blah. This dude just started spilling his life. Then he stopped. Like he literally stopped and was like, bro. I mean, this dude like tank top, smelling like weed. I mean, it was just like crazy. But he stopped and was like, yo. And then he kind of swore and he was like, I don't understand. What am I telling you my business for? You know, not he went back hardcore. It's like I should be sharing my stuff. And then he's like, why would I tell you this stuff, man? I mean, I don't even know you. You don't know me. And why would you listen to this? And I was like, well, I'm a Christian. I said, and the thing is this is that God loves you because he pouring it you to me. That's kind of how it works. So when God has something for you, he's always going to send someone like me to you so that you can get the message, because you don't know me and I don't know you. And what more clear message can you get than someone who doesn't know you start talking like they do know you? Right? When that Jesus is old, that was his 3 years on the earth that he talked to people. Yes. The woman at the well, he talked to her as if he knew her, and it blew her away. She went back like, yo, y'all got to come out. It's a dude out here that know more about my personals, and he don't even know me. Like, this is a whole different thing. And I had that first experience with a young man like that. And the dude gave me his number, prayed for him. Boom. 2 months later, seen him at the gym. Hey man, you know what? I met up my grandmother, man. I started going to church with her, man, and I'm really trying to do my thing right. And I'm like, and I looked at him like, wow, he looked like a totally different dude. I was like, wow. And it seemed like right after that, this ball started rolling. Yeah. And what God would put me right in this, and something similar as you guys, which is that trauma. These young men are literally hemmed up and constipated with the trauma of their life that happened, and they can't figure out how to get past it. They don't know why they can't love women right, why they can't take care of their kids the right way. Why would a woman look at me this way, man, when I'm trying to do this? And I'm thinking, you got to work on you. So I like that you guys are starting from the like empowering the teens. Like that's like something that's huge. Especially my kids, when you watch your kids grow up, you see that the empowerment needs to be there.
Yeah.
And I take my hat off to you. Now, what I do want you to do you have something to say? Because I saw you do a.
It was just an add-on of like.
Oh, go ahead. Because I want to ask the question. Well, this is the thing. Say your piece, and then, kind of take me through the healing pathways. So make your comment, and then because you mentioned about the empowerment and preventative and stuff. So, but kind of speak to that a little bit more, because I think I want more clarity, and I'm sure the people want to hear more.
Okay. Only tidbit I was going to add was when you were talking about Jesus at the well, is like with all his interactions, Jesus is the word, and yet he wasn't wording them. Thus saith this, that he just was. And the presence of being and listening, active listening, was what his ministry showed. So with Dove's Network,
a whole nother path.
It was like,
no, that's so good though.
It was exactly what you were saying. I started designing what would I have wanted back then versus what I started dabbling into. So it was, let me design this, and then really designing it. It aligned once I started getting certified in trauma-informed care and becoming a certified trauma support specialist, was a lot of the exercises and things that I wanted to do and what I was seeing and checking with shelters and doing market research. A lot of, and it's no knock on any of the agencies that's doing what they're doing. They're doing what they're supposed to, but healing is different for the individual, and especially for culturally responsive.
Yep.
When it comes to, we put in the different cultures that's out there and different barriers to access and trust in systems, right? I can't just give you a textbook, even with talking to teens about who are in the program. It's like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want to see? I came with a whole curriculum and all of they like, it feels therapeutic, feels like scientific terms. We don't want that. We just want to, okay. And intervention, prevention, and empowerment are the pathways that we do it, because intervention, there's the teens that's right in it. When you talk about parents just trying to survive, how many are just trying to survive today? The cycle is unfortunately still there, because you are trying to daily overcome and embrace safety. You're dealing with legal, you're dealing with financial, the things that survivors have to go through to overcome barriers to safety, to be safe out of being in an abusive situation, is ridiculous. So let us help you with the teens. So the intervention is that peer support. We do an intake with the parents, listen to what they're saying. Here's the thing where AJ came involved, because when we have teen boys, we want to get in and unwind. That's not normal. A lot of the normalization of that, of seeing abuse, it's wrong, but then there's something that happens. I, as a woman, cannot talk to that. AJ can. So AJ came through from account. He got trained and still going through. He's still connected with it. Counter abuse. A lot of the term that's normalized is batterer's intervention. So again, from the lens of grace, this culture is very like, if I never knew that abuse was normal, I'm already stigmatized before I come in to get help. I'm a batterer, right? That's the label, batterer. So I realize what I'm doing is wrong, and I want help, and I want to turn from my ways, but I'm not a batterer. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get that. So we named it Counter Abuse Initiative. So that's AJ walking with unraveling, and I'll let him talk to that. That's a part of intervention. That's coming in and laying seed of healing, laying seed of this isn't normal, and you can have a life more abundant outside of what you've encountered. We laser in on strengths that's trauma informed and also rooted in that. That was my story. I'm not trying to make it as, it's about me, but there was the power of one, and science backs it. When you have the power of one person that can buffer that negative experience, you will go off and do great things. And I had that one with my mentor, Greg Harton. He saw I was great with writing. He encouraged, and that kept me not focusing on what was happening. I was a little knucklehead, but I was like, well, let me focus on these things. He created avenue and spaces and connected me with those folks, right?
Mhm.
So intervention pathway centers on that. Prevention, that is where we're doing the trainings. Domestic violence 101, childhood domestic violence 101, being a safe church, and like prioritizing congregant safety. That is a lot of financial abuse. What does that look like? College campuses. I spoke at Howard in the fall, and you'll be amazed the amount of colleges that are seeing domestic violence that's happening. So healthy relationships, all prevention buckets in. We're bringing you this trauma-informed way of not just information, but here's preventative strategies that you build into your organizations to make tangible change. And then there's empowerment. We don't want to just give information. We want to be able to help you practically. So if you've just escaped and you need help with groceries, or you need help with school supplies, we have strategic outreaches. So we have one coming up in the fall. We do a back to school that is targeted only to those families impacted by domestic violence. We give you school supplies, but you get that at the end. We have an experience for the family to heal. So we create new memories every month for our families in the program where they heal together. We create new memories. We're going bowling for one aspect. They design what they want to look like. We did Not Forgotten Christmas. That's been our most sustained every year since we launched. That was the first thing that I did. I remember we got adopted. And for someone to think of me, but again, it's more than just receiving gifts. So we had a stylist this past year that dressed the families, surprise, gave them like five plated meal. We had a caterer. We allowed them to do crafts. It was a whole experience. Oh, by the way, here's your gifts. And we also shipped. So the network in Dove's network are our hubs, our chapters in Michigan, in Georgia, North Carolina, and Texas, where we're not there, but virtual. We connect with those families online. We ship them the things, the experiences for them to do that's happening here locally in Arizona as well. So that's a little bit of the pathways.
That's pretty sweet. That is pretty sweet.
For the men, it's just it's the same as she said it. For me, for intervention, it's just like you have to kind of step in the middle of that, like, bro, that type of unhealthy masculinity, because it's more than just counter abuse. You know what I'm saying? But we deal with trauma of just being forced into unhealthy masculinity. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't come to the boys club in love with one woman, because if you don't know how to handle the ridicule that comes with that, if you're not a player, you see what I'm saying? Or if you're not smoking weed, or you see what I'm saying? It's a lot. And those things are traumatic. It's just like being bullied. And you know what I'm saying? And so when we talk to the men, they talk about the homes that they grew up in, but we also just talk about that traumatic experience from, again, just being in a boys club. You know what I'm saying? Where the individual thought is shunned. And if you don't duplicate this foolishness, then you're a nobody, and we're going to talk about you, you know? So we got to jump in the middle of that to say, hey, that's not the best way to think. You know what I'm saying? And then the prevention aspect is trying to just nip it in the bud. Like, if I can stop it from even growing a little bit in this household, or if it was growing, if I can put some weed kill on it, whatever you want to call it, and just stop it at the root, you know what I'm saying? Then that's what I want to do. But and like Tiffany was saying about the empowerment thing, we want to give you tools. A lot of people, like, you know, like, especially with, and see, I didn't grow up in church either. You know, a lot of people was telling me what I was doing wrong, and they were coming from the Christian aspect, but they never could give me any type of empowerment on what to do right. You see what I'm saying?
Other than reading your Bible and praying.
Yeah, and then like, but how do I understand that? Like, where do I go? Somebody could have just led me to Proverbs, because I started in Genesis. I was like, what does this have to do with me?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? If you could at least set me to some precepts, some concepts, and you see what I'm saying?
True, right. Proverbs is the easiest to digest.
Hey, take me there first, and after I get strong, then I can start reading the rest of this. But we have a curriculum that we have, and we're trying to get more young men involved in it. But it's based on like self-awareness, because again, because the males that we have the pack mentality, and we like, I think we were talking the other day and you said they follow, what did you say, examples, was it, or role models? It was something like that you said that men follow, but that's true for us. And if we don't have, once we jump into that and start looking at that followership, we actually volunteer to leave our independent selves in the background. Because if we try to show who we are, if we don't want to do this or we don't want to do that, the group is like, you're a punk, you're this. So now we shine away. Even if you're getting A's in school, you know what I'm saying? You kind of shy off that, because now they teasing me about every single thing. So now I got to dumb myself literally down. So we try to teach about self-awareness, building emotional intelligence. Now, you know that men don't deal with emotion. We've learned to just throw that thing away. The only emotion that we deal with is anger. And men need to understand that anger doesn't translate into every area of your life. Anger does not go well with the children. Anger does not go well in the marriage. Anger does not go well in the job. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. So we teach that, we teach relational intelligence, how to actually judge a good friend, and stop calling people your friend if they just an associate. You see what I'm saying?
A real good one. Yeah, I like that. That's a good one.
Everybody
they need that.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? I mean, how to foster healthy relationships and ethical decision making. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things. A lot of this is social emotional learning. But we've never had it, and we've and it's so vital to know who you are and how to truly operate on earth without having to submit to something that is not God-like. Because I love, now that he is my mentor, I love Jesus being my mentor, because the things in Proverbs never steered me wrong. You know what I'm saying? It didn't come to a quick dead end. You know what I'm saying? I'm still using it, even though I came grudgingly, because I was trying to be the best at the world stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't satisfying enough. And when I came to God, I came with a grudge. But he's never, ever, and this, I mean, I hope not to sound cliche, but he's never led me wrong with the principles and things that's in that word. I followed them, and I have become better at knowing who I am and being able to express that to others. So I think it's important to do counter abuse too, but to also just heal the whole man, not just that aspect, but the whole man.
Yeah. And I think that for men, I think that's the devil is really after the man as a whole, because basically we are the ones that actually impact the ladies, right? So when and I was talking to a young guy the other day at the gym, and he was telling me him and his wife were having issues, and he's giving me this big spew, and I'm like, yeah, sounds like you a jerk, and he's like, oh, I mean, come on, bro. I mean, she's got to do this. I was like, still sound like a jerk to me. And I told him, I said, and this is the thing, the more you tell me about how she behaves, lets me know even more about how a jerk you are. I said, because, and I told him, I said, and it's hard for you to understand what I'm going to tell you because you're not a Christian. Like, you don't love God. Well, I mean, you not love God. I said, you don't. Just believe me, you don't, because there's principles and there's things that, I talk to men like real men. Like, if I can't talk to you like a real man, if you get offended by that, then that just lets me know that you're an immature boy, because grown men should be able to talk to grown men. I didn't call you out your name. I didn't belittle you or anything. I'm just talking truth to you, and you're upset because it hurts because I'm telling you the truth. Right. So he's like, I don't know, why is it always that men have to do A, B, and C? I was like, because men are always talking about a woman submitting to them. So that's why you're in the hot seat all the time, is because what comes out of your mouth is that you want someone to follow you. You want someone to listen to you. I don't understand why she can't listen, why she don't follow. Well, dude, she's never going to listen, and she's never going to follow if you don't create this atmosphere that allows her to take her guard down and to fully trust in what your words are saying. I said, and that is the ticket. The ticket is that you young guys think that being hyper emotional to match your energy is the best way to handle a woman. And I said, the worst thing you could do is try to come at a person who is built with 100% emotions. You're going to lose this.
Mhm.
You're going to lose because her emotions can quadruple and listen and keep on quadrupling. And what ends up happening is that you end up punching a wall, right? Because you can't keep up with that you can't keep up with that back and forth. A woman can just go back and forth. She ain't got to hit a wall. She ain't got to smack you. She ain't got to do nothing. She could just sit there with her mouth and just let you rip it. And
Mhm.
what ends up happening is that you can't handle that. And so you punch holes in the wall, you throw her on the ground, you flipping cars over. The key thing is that as a man, you have to have the ability to create atmosphere for cultivation, for growth, for maturity. I said, your wife should be the best thing on the market.
Mhm.
Your kids should be the best thing. My wife, when people look at it and be like, man, your wife, yeah, she should be 1,000 times better than me. My kids should be 1,000 times. I should literally be the lowest at the lowest in the house. Nah, I'm the best thing in this house. You know why? Because I keep myself humble. I'm the strongest foundation. Everybody can stand on me. Everybody can walk on me, not over me, but they can walk on me, which means that they can count on me being under them under every circumstance that come up in their life. And that's what men are missing. They're missing the ability. So I'm saying this because I think, AJ, that what you're doing, man, that's the pivotal point is these guys are missing fathers, man. They're missing somebody who can tell them that self-awareness, bro, helps you be able to create an atmosphere for somebody to follow you on the other side. If you're not strong in yourself or know who you are, then you can't ask a woman to do anything.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, submission for a woman is not because you tell her or anybody tells her or the word of God tells her all of this stuff that we want to make it. Women submit to atmosphere that allow them to feel trust. Like they have to feel trust, covered with love, embodied with affection, layered with all kinds of gifts. And like this is stuff that women will literally, they will literally stop shopping. Like how you mentioned earlier, right? Don't go and don't spend money at DSW. Well, it hurt your feelings because you trying to control my stuff. Well, once you put time in with AJ, then you find out that AJ is not trying to control anything. He understands the budget. This had nothing to do with you. It was the budget and that we have to get money, right? But the money has to be appropriated the correct way. But that comes with the time. It comes with that time that you put in, the more you build trust in there. We have 52 minutes. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but also on the other end of that too, that the other part we're focused in on is also that men are victims as well. Men are survivors also, because just as much it's like our thing is oneness, team Mensah. We a team, God, him, and I, like team 3. And women, you can't tear them down. It's a lot of emotional abuse that happens where women tear down men and create these atmospheres also. So we've been having these focus groups where we're going into men's spaces and I'm like, I'm just a fly on the wall. But to truly end domestic violence, I want to hear your voices. Yes. What are you all also going through? Because there's some men that won't speak up about women who want to be leading and control them with their finances in different aspects and tear them down with their words. And you got these forces going. So that was
Look, there's a whole lot of men that will not confess because of the boys club that they are being abused. So we're never going to get the right numbers on that. Even when the police roll up to the scene, you get clowned a lot of times because especially if you didn't do anything and they open up the door and you're the one that's all beat up, to them, that's a joke, but that's serious business. I'm trying to respect her while being disrespected. And then piggybacking on what you said, Quentin, is as far as men are strong in a physical aspect, but you just have to admit it, a great deal, not all, but way more than a few men are not as strong as women when it comes to emotions. We don't use them enough to be able to control that. So when they do go all emotional on you, the only way that we figure that we can handle that is to go into a realm of physicality, because in no other way do I know how to control this. You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why we're trying to like talk to men and teach them how to use their emotions. But yeah, it's a lot of work to be done, bro. And I'm happy to hear what you're doing. And I
Yeah.
can't wait to
Yeah.
actually team up with you on some things, man.
Oh, you know what? Of course, that's where I'm always headed, man. I think that everybody should always team up. And I like what Tiffany said, which is coming into a space where men at and then being a fly on the wall. I don't understand why, even like a women's conference or anything, why you don't have at least one man to speak to that portion of a relationship between so women get from a woman's perspective, but I think women sometimes need to hear the heart of a man.
Yep.
No different that if I'm doing a men's conference, then I might have one woman come. It's gonna look weird because they'll be like, why is a lady here? But I think that in this setting where we're chilling and relaxing, we didn't eat, we didn't had a good time. Now you're gonna just hear the heart of a woman. Like you just need to kind of, because she's basically gonna speak for every woman, right? I don't care what nobody say that all women are built the exact same from God's perspective.
Amen.
Okay. Yes, you may differ because of your traumatic events. That's what you differ from. But God created men and women alike. Like we have the same thing that we're trying to drive for. Like we're all striving for the same thing. That's why all the conversations are built around men don't talk, women do talk. Men are emotional, women are emotional. I'm like, it's the same conversation that's been going on since the 1900s.
Forever, bro.
It's the same thing, and we still find ways to still argue about it. Like my thing is this, and this is how I kind of built my son. I'm like, dude, if you want to have a great relationship with your wife, you're going to have to learn how to talk. Like, don't be stupid. Like, don't think, oh, I don't know, men don't talk like that. Well, dude, you're going to have a headache of a marriage if you don't understand what women need. And that's what I'm saying about sometimes getting in a space where sometimes you have one voice, right? Not 20 men, but a solid dude that got some experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got 26 years of marriage. I got a 20-year-old son. I got a 14-year-old daughter. Like, I got juice. I got juice up in this boy from being in this relationship. We got almost 30 years together. But I can just tell you from my perspective of what a woman needs to actually hear when it comes to what a man is actually trying to do. And this is not, men are very simple. No, men are very complex. We let this world with these television shows talk about how simple men are. And I'm like, men are nowhere near simple. It's just simple. All we like to do is eat and then eat, have sex.
Eat and scratch.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, I wish that it was that simple. It may be simple for the man who's not trying to strive for excellence in Christ. But if you're trying to strive for excellence in Christ, man, just to be humble every day.
It's a lot.
In a position of authority. Listen to me. To be given the authority that God give men, and he asks us to walk in humility. So I want you to move and shake as a lion, and I want you to tiptoe around like a lamb. Your movements are going to be loud, but your footsteps are going to be quiet. Like people shouldn't hear. Your voice is low. Nobody should hear. And it's not even me, right? This is Miles Monroe. That guy, that was like the biggest thing he said. He was like, the foundation never talks about what he does. The foundation is quiet. Nobody even sees the foundation of a house. You don't know where it's at. You don't care about it. People only care about the inside, the walls, the paint, the decorations. He said, that's your wife and your kids. That's what people care about. They don't. That's why men look, I feel underappreciated. You probably do. You know why? Because no one is looking at the man who's building everything. So that's why we as men have to have a relationship with Christ. You have to have that, because your family, they gonna sometimes forget to say, hey, Dad, you're doing a great job. Because you're so much all you're pouring, no different than we are with Christ. You see what I'm saying? And we're about to run out of time, but that's the part I always connect to. But listen, you guys are great. Like, this is a great conversation. It's like, so this is what I want to do. I am going to ask that you guys do come back on.
Okay.
Because we didn't touch on peace. So protection, empathy, advocacy, accountability, collaboration, and education. And so I kind of really want to talk about that. And then I also want to dive into the breakdown of what Dove is all about. So the daily, the overcoming of violence, embracing safety. So we didn't hit these two things. These are two things that's on my list that we didn't get a chance to talk about, because I wanted to kind of have a relaxing conversation around
Yeah.
what you guys do. But if you would come back, and then I would love to be able to dive into that, and then maybe we'll attach that to maybe to like a topic that we can kind of put together to embrace the peace and the dove together. So if you guys would be so kind, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool. Okay, so hey, everybody out there, check this out. This is Tiffany and AJ. These guys are the owner and operator of the nonprofit Dove Networks. Okay, this is all about helping your teens basically be empowered and then have a transforming life. Okay, there's a lot of trauma out there kids are dealing with. I know you probably have kids that may be dealing with it, or some friends that may be going through something. I'm going to put some links down in the bottom, and you guys can hit them up. As you heard Miss Tiffany say before, they got pods basically in a few different states. If you're here in Michigan and you need the ability to be able to connect with them, you can definitely contact me, and then I can put you in contact with them. But I'm definitely joining the team, Dove, without even them asking me. I'm joining it anyway. All I need to do is send me a shirt, and then I'm a rocket.
Say less. What size?
A large.
Okay.
Shirt, because I'm going to promote that here. I think that, as you said before, I wish I had that when I was coming up, and I think that we definitely need to hit that on all front. I wish that every state can connect with you guys, and you guys, and I pray that a pod is put in every state, because I think we need more people in that space helping the kids get better at this, at walking this life here. So appreciate you guys. And that's all I got, man. This is a great conversation.
Yeah.
Great conversation.
Yeah.
Tiffany, I can't even believe I'm on here with Tiff.
Yeah.
Tiff got a
I'm a
husband.
little sister.
Right, Mark's sister. And she got a husband. What the heck is going on?
Hey.
What is going on? So I appreciate you guys, and we'll connect again. Peace out.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Thank you.